Hi there, how are you tonight? Thanks for joining me for a little pipe sesh. Tonight we're doing a Savinelli church warden pipe, being that many of my online friends are getting into the church wardens. Everyone has to have a church warden or two in their collection. Tonight we're going to be puffing from Haunted Bookshop by Cornell and Deal. Haunted Bookshop, of course, is a play on the words from Christopher Morley. So I'm putting a little Haunted Bookshop in the church warden tonight. This is a really, really good pipe tobacco. One of the things you have to be careful of with Haunted Bookshop is that it will knock you on your butt if you puff it too fast. I was never a cigarette smoker, so I was never a nicotine guy. So for me, I don't necessarily look for a nicotine hit. I don't want a hit of any type. I like the whole aromatic experience of puffing on a pipe. Tonight we're going to be taking a sip from the 15-year El Dorado rum. This was a gift from one of my clients, Mr. Tim Trimble. We'll put that in the square shot glass for old time's sake. And that's all I'm doing tonight, is just a taste. Since I quote-unquote quit drinking, I drink for taste and not for volume or effect. I don't need to get high or alter my consciousness. I really truly enjoy the taste of distilled spirits. And you don't need a lot when you drink for taste, as opposed to drinking for volume or effect. So before we get going, I'd like to toast you. So good. You have to try it. El Dorado rum. This is a 15-year-old special reserve. This is not something you make rum and cokes with. It's something you just have a little tiny bit and you sip on it, and you have your cigar, you have your pipe. It's like a adult version of a butter rum lifesaver. It's incredible, quite incredible. And of course you always follow it with either water or tea, and that's my green tea in there. So I'm going to be reading tonight during the pipe sesh from a little Christopher Morley, and this is from his book called Chimney Smoke, which is a very appropriate selection for this evening. And I'm competing with a blue jay that doesn't like me being out here right now, because the bird feeders are just on the other side of this deck fence, and I must be keeping him from doing his thing. Cracks me up. All right, let's fire this up before we even get started tonight, okay? Hey, listen. I am speaking at the 21 convention at the end of September. And there are going to be goodie bags. It's going to be attended by about 150 men. And there's going to be goodie bags, swag bags, for each of the attendees. If I reviewed your product in the past year, what I'm looking for is 150 items that you provide, whether it be something for skin care or beard care. A lot of the guys do have beards, beard oils, beard balms, anything that a man would enjoy. I need 150 of them. And I would like to include one in each swag bag. Feel free to put your business card or 150 of your business cards. Private message me, let me know. If I did a review for your product in the past year, I'm asking you to provide, and I'll tell you where you can send them when you private message me. And it's going to make a lot of guys happy, And you know if your product is good, it's going to get people hooked. So I want to see your product in the goodie bags at this particular conference, okay? And I'll just keep hammering away at that. All right, let's fire this doggy up. Inhaled something right away. There we go. Tamp that down a little bit with the 150-year-old pipe organ. This is a stop on a pipe organ called the Principal 8. Those of you that are classical and organ music aficionados know what the Principal 8 is. It is the pipe on a pipe organ that rattles your bones and shakes the windows and loosens all the stained glass in a church or a cathedral. So when I saw this in a thrift store, I said, I have to have that. It was in a miscellaneous box. Perfect. All right. Let's get reading, will you? This is from the book called Chimney Smoke by Christopher Morley. This is not a typical Beards Without Borders. This is just a pipe sesh that you're enjoying with me. And if you have a pipe, by all means, fire up and pour yourself something as well. This is a collection of poems from Chimney Smoke, written in 1921. This is called Dedication for a Fireplace. This hearth was built for thy delight. For thee the logs were sawn. For thee the largest chair at night is to the chimney drawn. For thee, dear lass, the match was lit. To yield the ruddy blaze, may Jack Frost give us joy of it for many, many days. Dedication for a fireplace. Let's read one called The Secret. It was the house of quietness to which I came at dusk. The garth was lit with roses and heavy with their musk. The tremulous tall poplar trees stood whispering around the gentle flicker of their plumes, more quiet than no sound. And as I wondered at the door what magic might be there, the lady of sweet silences came softly down the stair. This one's called Reading Aloud. Once we read Tennyson aloud in our great fireside chair. Between the lines my lips could touch her April-scented hair. How very fond I was to think that printed poems fair, when close within my arms I held a living lyric there. This one's called Our House. It should be yours if I could build the quaint old dwelling I desire, with books and pictures bravely filled, and chairs beside an opened fire. White-paneled rooms with candles lit, I lie awake to think of it. A dial for the sunny hours, a garden of old-fashioned flowers, say marigolds and lavender, and the mignonette and feverfew, and Judas tree and maidenhair, and candy tuft and thyme and rue, all these for you to wander in. A Chinese carp called Mandarin, waving a sluggish silver fin, deep in the moat, so tame he comes, to lip your fingers offering crumbs, tall chimneys like long listening ears, white shutters, ivy green and thick, and walls of ruddy Tudor brick, grown mellow with the passing years, and windows with small leaded panes, broad window seats for when it rains, a big blue bowl of potpourri, and yes, a Spanish chestnut tree. To coin the autumn's minted gold, a summer house for drinking tea, all these, just think, for you and for me. A staircase of the old black wood, cut in the days of Robin Hood, and banisters worn smooth as glass, down which your hand will lightly pass. A piano with pale yellow keys for wistful twilight melodies, and dusty bottles in a bin, all these for you to revel in. But when, ah well, until that time, we'll habit in this house of rhyme. Christopher Morley, 1912. This one is called Washing the Dishes. This was also included in the book called Chimney Smoke, published in 1921. Washing the dishes. When we on simple rations sup, how easy is the washing up. The heavy feeding complicates the task by soiling many plates. And though I grant that I have prayed that we might find a serving maid, I'd scullion all my days, I think, to see her smile across the sink. I wash, she wipes, in water hot. I souse each pan and dish and pot, while Taffy mutters, purrs, and begs, and rubs himself against my legs. The man who never in his life has washed the dishes with his wife or polished up the silver plate, he is still largely celibate. One warning, there is certain ware that must be handled with all care. The Lord himself will give you up if you should drop a willow cup. You'll notice Christopher Morley writes a lot about fire and flame and fireplaces and warmth, and you'll see that is a common theme. This one's called Elegy Written in a Country Coal Bin. The furnace tolls the knell of falling steam, the coal supply is virtually done. And at this price, indeed, it does not seem as though we could afford another ton. Now fades the glossy, cherished anthracite, the radiators lose their temperature. How ill avail on such a frosty night the short and simple flannels of the poor. Though in the icebox, fresh and newly laid, the rude forefathers of the omelette sleep. No eggs for breakfast till the bill is paid. We cannot cook again till coal is cheap. Can Morris chair or papier-mâché bust revivify the falling pressure gauge? Chop up the grand piano if you must, and burn the East Aurora parrot cage. Fill many a can of purest kerosene. The dark unfathomed tanks of Standard Oil shall furnish me, and with their aid I mean, to bring my morning coffee to a boil. This one is called Smells. Why is it that the poet tells so little of the sense of smell? These are odors I love well, the smell of coffee freshly ground, or rich plum pudding, holly crowned, or onions fried and deeply browned, the fragrance of a fumy pipe, the smell of apples newly ripe, and printer's ink on leaden type. Woods by moonlight in September breathe most sweet, and I remember many a smoky campfire ember, camphor, turpentine, and tea, the balsam of a Christmas tree. These are whiffs of gramarye. A ship smells best of all to me. Hey, I just want to give a shout out to Chris Morgan from Morgan Pipes. I will raise a glass to you because you're now a dad. Congratulations on fatherhood. It's a wonderful thing. And everybody who's watching this is raising a glass to you. So congratulations on the birth of your child. That's awesome. A new era has begun. This one's called Burning Leaves November. These are the folios of April, all the library of spring, missals gilt and rubricated with the frosts illumining. Ruthless we destroy these treasures, set the torch with hand profane, gone like Alexandrian vellums, like the books of burnt Louvain. Yet these classics are immortal, O collectors have no fear, for the publisher will issue new editions every year. This one's called 2 o'clock. Night after night goes by and clocks still chime, and stars are changing patterns in the dark, and watches tick, and over puissant time benumbs the eager brain, the dogs that bark, the trains that roar and rattle in the night, the very cats that prowl, all quiet find, and leave the darkness empty, silent quite. Sleep comes to chloroform the fretting mind. So all things end, and what is left at last? Some scribbled sonnets, tossed upon the floor, a memory of easy days gone past, a run-down watch, a pipe, some clothes we wore, and in the darkened room I lean to know how her dreamless breath doth pause and flow. That's kind of neat. Did you ever just watch people sleep? I remember I would wander into my children's room and just look at them sleeping, and it was peaceful. Did you ever do that? I remember I was always the first one to fall asleep. My wife used to say to me all the time, "How do you fall asleep so fast?" Honest to God, I would give her a kiss, and literally, she would say to me, "You would kiss me, then 30 seconds later you would be snoring." And I slept really well. I'm a phenomenal sleeper. I should win a sleeping contest. And I would wake up early, very early, at about the time the birds start chirping, and I would just watch my wife sleeping, just watching the blankets go up and down as she was breathing, listening to her breathe. I would walk to the kids' rooms and just kind of listen to them breathe. Now, I was the only one in my family that was snoring until I had snore surgery. But as the head of a household, to me, the sounds of sleep were reassuring to me. Did you ever feel that way? As a man, if you're a man, or if you're a single dad or a single mom, you just step inside of a doorway and just listen to breathing. And then the last one is called the Music Box. Let me fire up a little bit here. I only pull out the church warden after September 1st. It doesn't seem right to smoke a church warden in the summertime. When it starts to get cool out, then I feel like it's time. The Music Box. At 6 long ere the wintry dawn, there sounded through the silent hall to where I lay with blankets drawn above my ears a plaintive call. The urchin, in the eagerness of 3 years old, could not refrain. Awake he straightway yearned to dress and frolic with his clockwork train. I heard him with a sullen shock. His sister, by her usual plan, had piped us after 3 o'clock. I vowed to quench the little man. I leaned above him, somewhat stern, and spoke, I fear with emphasis. Ah, how much better parents learn to seal one's censure with a kiss. Boy, I wish I knew that. Again, the house was dark and still. Again, I lay in slumber's snare, when down the hall I heard a trill, a tiny, tinkling, tuneful air. His music box, his best-loved toy, his crib companion every night, and now he turned to it for joy, while waiting for the lagging light. How clear and how absurdly sad, those tingling pricks of sound unrolled, they chirped and quavered as the lad, his lonely little heart consoled. Columbia, the ocean's gem, its only tune shrilled sweet and faint. He cranked the chimes, admiring them, in vigil gay without complaint. The treble music piped and stirred, and leaping air, that was his bliss, and as I most contritely heard, I thanked the all unconscious Swiss. The needled jets of melody rang slowlier and died away. The urchins slept, and it was I who lay and waited for the day. Pretty neat, huh? Nothing like relaxing with a pipe. Reading Christopher Morley. I prescribe it. If I was an anxiety doctor, I would have a little prescription pad, and I did this with 2 guys today. I told 2 men today, and I guess it could be with women as well, to read Christopher Morley and smoke a pipe tonight if you're not doing anything for the holiday weekend. And I said to women, sit alongside your man quietly as he smokes his pipe and reads Christopher Morley, and you're going to watch before your very eyes his soul being fed. He'll be a different man by the end of the reading. It was a good day. It was a productive day. Again, to you. This time next year, I'll be doing this on a beach. Cutting hair during the day, coaching during the day, networking events at night, and a couple nights a week, firing up and talking to you guys. Well, I hope you liked the readings tonight by Christopher Morley that are nearly 100 years old. And I hope they calmed you. And I hope you had a chance to fire up and sip a little bit of spirits as well. Thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Out of all the things that you can do, you chose to hang out with me. And I appreciate that. Have a good night, everybody.